Welcome back to Deals on Track. It is the height of winter, so what better time than to think what we're doing with the old humble Supra. And it is obviously sitting with quite a to-do list, but what better place to start than in the body? Just to clarify here, I'm not caving. I do like the carbon bonnet, but I've been on the lookout for a steel one for a while because, well, we're going to be moving on to paint at some point, and if I want a backup bonnet, it needs to be steel. So the idea was always to get one. However, breakers, they're national, and it's very, very tricky to get a bonnet on a courier, but I've still managed to figure out a solution, which was thankfully local, and managed to fit the top of my Volvo.
Creamy, but
danger. Danger. What are you up to?
Look at that one. I can tell just by the grille that's a turbo one as well.
So bonnet's on, which is good, but I also found another thing at the wonderful breaker yard. Well, it wasn't a breaker yard, but another little problem that I've had is now solved. Hopefully that works. Yep. The first step to removing my Chinese water bottle. Thank you. Disconnect the cable ties. Can you tell this was a last minute affair? Lovely. Goodbye. In typical project car fashion, this is turning into a shelf because I don't work in it every 20 minutes. In fact, that's a lie. The low cost is a shelf right now and I've been working on it constantly for 2 months. Anyway, I digress. This time, it's a shelf for its own parts because I bought stuff. So for the uninitiated that cannot guess, I've bought a body kit for this. Now, I know since day one of this channel, I've always been quite anti-body kit. I probably haven't been. I tried to be quite positive on camera, but I'm not a big body kit fan. There's only one exception to this rule. It's this car and a very certain body kit. Now, with paint on the horizon, I obviously want to make sure I have all of the bits that body work needs paint for done, so that I don't need to paint it twice. So there are two big things coming on the horizon for it. The gearbox was the other one, but paint means sort the body before you paint. So I wanted this and I ordered it. You cannot get this anymore, original. However, I found somebody that does a very, very close replica. And by close, I mean the side skirts, which I'm about to own now. Those are carbon copies. Well, let's not use the word carbon because it's not, but they are exactly like for like. This is the Bomex kit. Now, my previous one, aka the one that got away, had the Bomex kit on it, and it's a lovely bit of kit. But I can't get the Bomex anymore. Nobody makes it, and if I wanted to buy the original one from the United States of Japan, I'd be paying that again. So to find somebody that does a replica was a massive boon. So these side skirts are like for like. The big thing I like about the Bomex is its simplicity. You don't get a rear bumper with it. What you get instead are rear spats. Now, these go over the bumper at the sides and go down to meet the wheel. Oh, do you know what, I'll show you, it'll be easier. And the only thing that you don't get, because I did try, is the front bumper. Now, the front bumper is nice in Bomex form, but what I've managed to find is a close match. I mean, I'm never going to get the Bomex, clearly, but this is very, very, very similar and not offensive on the eye. So today, we're going to get the old tape out and see how it's all going to rough fit, and you'll see where I'm going with this. Now, I am not new to this game. I'm under no illusion that an aftermarket body kit need a small amount of fettling to fit right. And as we've seen, back skirts, the spats, they seem all right, wee bit of shaving here and there. Side skirts, same story. Once we've got the front mudguard things off, there's excess meat that'll need to trim down. But I'm actually quite happy about that. It means I can get a nice, close, decent fit. This though, I mean, that seems unnecessarily folded in. And I can see the logic. If it's folded in, it means it's tight, it's going to nip well on the bumper bar. But it's only 45 degrees off of flat. It's just a lot of unnecessary work that I'm going to have to do to correct it, just to get it ready to start doing the rest of the corrections. So, Joy, I have consulted the seller, and the opinion of them are, yeah, just heat it. Great. Just heat glass fibre and see if it shapes back into place. So I'm not going to do that in the car. I'm going to actually try it here with some constructive use of blocks of wood, just to see if I can open this up from the bottom and just try and form this back into shape. Not ideal, but you know, it's not like I'm in a rush to finish it. While I'm letting that cool down and hopefully retain a more sensible shape, I'm going to take some debris off the front of the car that's not going to be compatible with this. First of all, the fog lights. Now I will say this, I'm not too cut up about losing the fog lights. Needs must and all that, and it's not exactly a critical thing for the car. However, the other part I'm going to have to lose is the tone eye once again, because whilst it was a bit of a fight to get through the original bumper, the new one has no gap for it whatsoever. That is going to be a compromise that might be slightly too far. After all, this has got a habit of breaking down, and I don't really want to take the chance of not being able to move it with a lovely new body kit on it, just for it to get ruined. So, might have to deal with that, especially before this goes on. Anyway, let's take things off. Right, I mean, I can see what is needing done here. Quite a lot of butchery, if I'm being honest. But luckily it's butchery on the stuff that I've bought, not butchery on the car. So everything will be, to an extent, reversible. Bumper's going to be a fight. It's probably going to pull in, and once I start attaching it, find its form a bit. But crucially, as you can see with the intercooler, it's now been trimmed. And like everything needs trimmed. I will say this, it's got excess as opposed to massive gaps. So like that's good. Once we all bolt things on and pull it into place, should just be a case of removing excess glass fibre. So that's good. I've not put the other skirt on or the other spat on the other side because it's going to be more or less the same as this. But as you can see, I've now taken it all back off. So why? This is going to be a hard one to explain, but having just spent all that money on that kit, not fully sold on it anymore. So I can be impulsive like this, and I can take a bit of time to kind of make my mind up and stuff. Whilst I did really lust for that kit, once I've seen it in the car, it's been a bit like, do I want to just make a straight replica of what I used to own? And part of me is like, well, yeah, because that's why you wanted the old car. But another part of me is like, don't know. And maybe it's because it's all white and I can't just see the end vision yet. So instead of just powering on and making a mistake, I'm going to put a pin in all of that because well, I have it now. It's not going to make any difference. But what I'm going to move on to the next stage is things that will. So as you'll note, in fact, I don't even need to show you this. You've seen it in literally every other video. The paint on this is a disaster. So I have been debating how I'm going to do the paint for many, many moons. And I think what I'm going to do is do it myself. Now, yes, this is meant to be the lovely fancy car that I put all the money into and I'm happy with and stays with me forever. But there's no reason why I can't do the paint myself, especially if I'm doing it the way I am thinking, and that is to do small steps. This car is going to be with me for a long time, so I might as well take my time and make it look good panel by panel. And if you're doing it panel by panel, you don't need a spray booth. You don't need to do a whole load of prep work. You can just do isolated small steps and get a final result. Remember, we're not doing a colour change here. It's all going the same. So what will happen is it'll gradually look better and better as it becomes more and more original. So to show you and demonstrate that, naturally the bonnet will be black and it's going to be a bit of a mission to get some of the dents out in that. Now that's something we'll probably kick off in the next episode, but just to wrap things up now and show you what I'm talking about, horrible patinaed, lacquer rippled, sun bleached headlight covers. They're one of the first things you'll always see in the car and will make a massive impact if I just get them looking right. So to tickle things off, let's deal with it. Well, that looks a lot better, but the problem is it now makes everything around about it look terrible. So I can see me getting really annoyed with that. Anyway, what I'm not going to do is get really annoyed with that. Let's move on to another thing that's been on my to-do list. Soaking through colors that held us up against the wall. Soaking through colors that held us up against the wall. Hold your colors against the wall. Right, just need to sand this filler off. As you can probably imagine, I didn't really want to have an aerial on this car for a wide variety of reasons, not which, well, commercial radio stations are terrible. I just always use MP3s and stuff like that. We're going to look at stereo soon on the car, by the way. That's probably going to form the next episode. But I thought I'd get rid of that in the meantime. So we just need to flatten this down. I should point out the reason I'm doing lots of daft wee bits. A few episodes ago when we touched up the bits around the back windows before we put them in, I bought a whole load of 6L9, which is the paint code for this car, in a 400ml paint tin. So I've still got it. Naturally, I thought, what can I use it on? Headlight covers, and well, we'll do this and see what motivation it gives me. I am not doing the whole car in rattle can though, I'll state that right now. The reason for that being, it's going to cost me a bloody fortune. If this all kind of starts coming together, what I think I might do is still the same technique. So we'll probably do a couple of panels at a time, like the bonnet, the front wings, and all the bits that really standy out terrible paint, and just get it with the 2K on and deal with it. And just get it to a point where it's presentable. Now obviously it would be common sense to strip it all back and start again and do a full blow over paint job, but well, I don't really want to. I like to take my time with this. I can do panel by panel in a really good standard rather than blow over the whole car and make a couple of bits of mistakes and stuff like that. If I find it easier, just take time and do it stage by stage. And I've found quite often that I get quite good results doing that. Everybody's different, I get that, but that's how I'm doing this. And it's my car, so I'll do what I want. Anyway, sanding. Every time I make one bit better, it's showing off every other bit around it that's worse, and it's making it look far worse. But slowly catch your monkey. The obvious problem here I'm going to have is I've only done one. So the center spoiler is black because in my infinite wisdom many moons ago, black was better than white. What was it, white or red? I don't know. Anyway, it blended in a bit, but now it blends into nothing. I'm running out of that wee tin of paint. I'm not entirely sure whether I should just buy one more and do the mirrors in this, or just get the proper 2K stuff. Might get one more just to kind of finish this off. What do you think? Anyway, I'm definitely not doing the whole car, but this does highlight just how bad. Nice lacquer, fresh paint, horrible, but it's, believe it or not, it's still the same paint. This spoiler, it needs starting again. I've not actually flattened it down well enough when I put the black on it. It's full of swirl marks, but looking better. I've also not popped this in because I'm going to give this lacquer 48 hours before anything resembling a fingerprint goes near it. Right. Next. There is absolutely no doubt that the more I do little bits like this, the worse it is making the car look. But for me, that's a good thing, because the worse it makes everyone else look, the more compelled I am to deal with it. So naturally, in the next episode, I really want to deal with this bonnet because it's the worst looking thing out of it all. Well, that's not true. The rear quarters are bad. The front wings are bad. This nose cone now looks bad. Anyway, the point being, we'll be doing a lot more paint, but it will be incremental. There are some other things I've got lined up for this car. I've been out driving it and there's no noise, so we'll have a look at doing something with the stereo. But really, that's the point. I've been out driving it. It's been 2 years now nearly, I think, since I got this. And I've only just got to the point where we're coming into summer. I kind of just want to drive it more than work on it. So even though it looks like a bag of scud, I'm still probably going to take it out, do some car meets and enjoy it. So progress may be Spartan, but at least it will be progress. Anyway, I waffle enough and you do not need to know it. So next week we'll probably be back in some low cost, naturally. So be sure and do the like, bell and subscribe thing. Every week I ask, nobody really does, but we're getting there. If you want to support more than that, patreon.com/toolsandtrack. Go and have a look. It helps support all these builds. And until next weekend, guys, drive safe.